But in the meantime, why don't we get started, since I know we are already into the hour that we have. My name is Gina Goodhill. I'm the Senior Director of Government Affairs at Clean Power Alliance. We are really excited to have everyone here today for our kickoff to our annual Community Benefits Grant, which is one of the ways that we, along with Calpine Energy Solutions, connects directly with our communities and is able to support them in all of the amazing work that all of you guys do on energy education, on energy workforce development, and on really making sure that people in our community can connect directly to all of the benefits of clean energy. It looks like we have the presentation now, which is great. We'll just wait until it is. Carla, are you able to change it to presentation mode? Like
yes.
From the beginning button. All the way on the left, it should be there. Or yeah, you probably know better than I do. Top left.
Yeah.
This is not, yeah. See, this is a sticky presentation today. Okay. Well,
I think I see the problem. Let me just.
I think you need to remove presenter view mode.
It's the monitor. So if you have multiple monitors, sometimes the automatic one is not the most intuitive one. And for some reason it is sticking to it. There we go.
There we go. Great. All right. Great. We can go to the next slide. So we are going to just spend a little bit of time for those who are not familiar with CPA or with Calpine Community Energy, just talking about who we are, what the Community Benefits Grant is, what the application and the reporting requirements look like, and then we'll leave it open for Q&A. This presentation and the slideshow will be available on our website later this week, so you will be able to see it again there. And you can also reach out directly to us if there are other questions that come up throughout the coming weeks. Next slide. Great. So I'm going to first turn it over to Caleb Ingerson from Calpine Community Energy, who's going to talk a little bit about who Calpine Community Energy is and the partnership that they have with CPA.
Thanks, Gina. Yeah, so my name is Caleb Ingerson, and I work for Calpine Community Energy, where I help run our community benefits program with CPA. And we've kind of been here since the beginning with California CCA. So we helped launch the first CCA here in California, and we work with CPA in 21 of the 25 CCAs in California. So we're really excited to kick off another round of funding for this program. We recognize the importance that CBOs and organizations like yourself play in moving us towards an equitable clean energy future. So we're happy to be taking part in another year. I think this is the fourth year now that we've run it with CPA, and we've had a lot of success. So we're really looking forward to seeing the applications that come in and continuing on. So with that, I will pass it back over to Gene.
Thanks, Caleb. Go to the next slide. All right, so I know for some of you, you've worked with Clean Power Alliance multiple times over the years. For others, this might be the first time that you're applying to this grant or the first time really doing anything with us. So I'm just going to do a little bit of background on who we are and what we do. So since 2018, Clean Power Alliance has been the default clean energy provider for the County of Los Angeles, the County of Ventura, and then 33 cities within those counties. Starting next year, we'll be adding 3 more cities: La Cañada, Flint Ridge, Linwood, and Port Hueneme. For now, our cities are on this map that is right here. And we serve over 3 million customers with renewable energy that we source from energy sources all throughout California, and in some places outside California, they're really heavily sourced from within California. Because so many of our customers have chosen 100% renewable energy as their default rate, We're really proud to now be the #1 green power provider in the United States, according to the Department of Energy. The way that Clean Power Alliance and other community choice aggregators work is that the communities that join us really get to sort of oversee us and get to direct what we do. So we are governed by a board of directors made up of one mayor or council member from each of the communities that is part of us. So we really are an organization that is created by our communities and then continues to really be, that really continues to serve our communities and be ingrained within them. And because we're a not-for-profit sort of government agency, all of the revenues that we get are pooled and invested into local programs and local opportunities and partnerships for our communities. Next slide. Great. So we, in 2021, launched a 4-year, and actually just to back up, so in addition to all of the programs that we offer, and these are things like battery storage programs and smart thermostat programs and other ways for customers to directly engage with clean energy, we also do a lot of work to really make sure that we are participating directly in our communities and showing real benefits to the people that get power from us. So in 2021, we launched a 4-year plan to provide $1 million in strategic investments for workforce development. And this is really to build a future green workforce. So that includes a microgrid maintenance training program that we have with the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. And this is really meant to train the future workforce on how to install battery storage and how to sort of maintain these systems as they become more and more important throughout California. We also have a partnership with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers through their Smart Building and Smart Cities program. So we've partnered with them to develop cybersecurity protocols for smart buildings. And so we have 2 trainings with the Los Angeles Electrical Training Institute in Los Angeles and with the Ventura County Electrical Joint Apprenticeship Training Program in Ventura. And so these are some pictures from those. Next slide. Great. We also have some scholarships. In addition to workforce development, we have scholarships that we offer through our Voyager Scholarship Program, which supports students at 7 different community colleges in our service territory and gives scholarships to students that are enrolled in energy-focused careers. So that could be electric vehicles, energy and environmental science, alternative energy classes, things like that. And then finally, why we're here today is we have an annual community benefits grant that we do with Calpine that provides funding to community-based organizations in our service territory that are helping to advance clean energy through research, through education, through jobs, through support for environmental and social justice communities. We're really excited that this year we're able to give out more money than we ever have in the past. So we have a pot of $325,000 that will go up to 15 organizations for this work. So I'm going to turn it over to Christian Cruz, our Senior Manager of Government Affairs, to walk through more details about the grant.
Great, thank you. Again, I'm Christian Cruz. I'm the Senior Community Outreach Manager. So just wanted to touch base on a couple of things. This is the 4th cycle of this grant. This year, CPA is in coordination with Calpine Community Energy. We'll be offering about $325,000 in grant funds to organizations that provide services within CPA territory. Organizations must serve communities within CPA and be a 501c3. Within the application, organizations can provide details about their proposals or projects. All proposals should fall within one or more of the priority focus areas, which I will go over on the next slide. If you are asking for funding to leverage other grant funding pots, please describe how this will help advance and complete the project or initiative. Within the application, please detail which communities will be served by your project and provide any metrics where appropriate. Organizations can't receive grant funding more than 2 years in a row. So we've partnered with various organizations, but if they've received more than 2 years, there's going to be kind of a gap year is what we're talking about. So that's going to be in place this year. Next slide. Great. So I want to go over the criteria. So we ask that organizations convey to us how they have been impactful within your own communities. Things that will help the selection committee include any historical background, previous project implementation, community engagement campaigns, and previous grant implementation successes as well. Also, please describe in as much detail as possible how your proposal is aligned with the mission of CPA and the funding categories. Where possible, we strongly encourage you to use benchmarks and metrics to support your proposal. And the 4 priority focus areas are research, environmental and social justice communities, workforce development, and education. So one or more of those would be necessary within the application, and just to highlight that within the application itself.
And then just real fast, the very long bar at the bottom with small writing is just the CPUC's definition of environmental and social justice communities. It's on our website as well, but that is what that probably unreadable bar of text is at the bottom.
Thank you. Next slide. So we are looking for organizations to submit complete and concise applications. You can include anything that will help the selection committee, such as pictures, graphs, project plans, and etc. It's not a very big application. There's a 500-word max for the description and mission of the organization. And then within that, the proposal itself was only 1,000-word maximum. So you really have to be concise, but we want to be able to read through a story from start to finish and kind of help the selection committee connect the dots with what you're proposing and what the funding will go for. So we urge you to be as concise as possible, but provide as much detail as possible as well. Within that, we're also asking for a budget, and at the end, we'll talk a little bit about that. Awards will range from between $15,000 to $30,000 for a 1-year grant term. And again, final awards amounts will be made by the review committee. Next slide. So what's a competitive application? When scoring the review committee is looking for clear and concise applications that includes timeline and key metrics. When describing your proposal, please highlight it if it is unique and innovative in its approach for tackling the issues discussed in your initiative. The overall proposal has to be very clearly stated. Application clearly connects to the funding goals. And also, application highlights show how the organization or project provides a positive impact on a customer segment, especially if in a new or innovative way. So this is all going to be kind of a part of the discussion in terms of the committee itself. So we highly encourage you all to just review this one more time. Again, this will be up on our webpage, and this will help guide you in the application process and developing your applications. Next slide, please. So last year, we awarded a total of 12 grants. I encourage you to visit the grant webpage and read through the previous recipient summaries, which you can see here. And this will also help you kind of understand what kind of funding was provided and kinds of initiatives and projects that were funded and kind of what levels they were funded as well. You can go to the next slide. As you can see, we have organizations from both Alley County and Ventura County, big and small organizations as well. So part of what we're trying to do is ensure that we're maximizing the funding throughout this territory with regard to the implementation of these projects and programs. We want to make sure that those programs and organizations that receive the funding are having a pretty major impact within those specific communities as well. So again, I encourage you to please go into our webpage and look at these summaries, and they're available on our FAQ section. Next slide, please. So I do want to do one highlight of a project from this last year. So Climate First Replacement Oil and Gas, also known as CFROG, began in 2013. They were started as an all-volunteer group, but in 2018, CFROG expanded its mission to move beyond monitoring oil industry wrongdoing. They now advocate for positive changes that promote a fossil fuel-free future, clean power, green jobs, and environmental justice. They're a part of the movement for a just transition on the Central Coast and combat environmental issues on communities of color. So the project itself was workforce development. Their goal was to provide some workforce development resources. So they support the transition of labor into the green workforce. They actually partnered with organized labor utilizing virtual reality to provide an introduction to offshore wind production and turbine maintenance, a budding industry with major potential in renewable energy production. The program prepared local technicians to enter the workforce while building community education through various outreach efforts. This application also included workforce development, but education as an outreach effort as well. So they educated community members about the program, but about renewable resources and CPA itself. And they also utilized the funding to go into impacted or social justice communities to bring them on board to do some of this training as well. So right off the bat, you saw that 3 of the 4 focus areas were covered within this project itself. So I just wanted to highlight that they did some really good work, and this is something just to help you all just kind of think through how you're going to implement your application and develop your application around your project or program. Next slide. So the reporting requirements, there aren't too many reporting requirements. There are really just 2. The first will be within 8 months. It's an 8-month report. This will be in the form of a small report, about 3 to 4 pages or so, which should include updates on the projects, deliverables, completed expended budget, and remaining budget as well, and key highlights and any metric data or information. Please note that the narrative should also include visuals like graphs, pictures, projects, sites, if applicable, in community meetings. And the second will be a detailed 30-minute interview with staff that's going to be at the end of the year once the funding is done and expended. And that's going to be just 30 minutes with ourselves and just kind of going through the project and program itself. So very minimal requirements, but we do have maybe about a monthly or maybe every 2 months or so, just calls and check-ins just to see how y'all are doing, if you need any support from CPA. And sometimes we do highlight what you're doing as well in the community. So we might reach out to you, and our marketing team will reach out to you as well to obtain pictures or videos or anything like that, so that we're highlighting the organization and the good work that you all are doing as well. Next slide, please. So this is a budget that's included in the application. It is a sample budget, but you can certainly use this. We just ask that you include a budget within the application itself. If you want to expand on it, that's fine. But at the bare minimum, we would like for everybody to submit a budget, either using this or something similar to that. Next slide, please. And then just wanted to review the timeline. As you all are aware, August 6th, the application went live on the CPA website. So it's under cleanpoweralliance.org at /CBG. Today is the webinar. So again, we're going to put the webinar onto the website and the slide deck onto the website by the end of this week. I just wanted to highlight that September 13th is the final day for applications, and they must be in by 5 p.m. The email is communitybbenefits@calpineenergysolutions.com, and it cannot be past 5 p.m. on September the 13th. So between September through early October, the application review period will begin. So we have a review team, and we'll be going through all the applications. Between October and November, grantee awardees will be contacted by Calpine directly, and they will provide those awardees with a packet of documents to fill out, and they'll be able to provide the funding right around December of this year, and they should be distributed before the end of the year. And so those are the key dates for everybody, just to be aware. Next slide, please. At this time, I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions. I will put up my contact information if anybody has any questions on the last slide. But at this time, we're going to go ahead and take any questions you might have.
And do you want people to use the hand raise feature?
Yes.
Or type in the... If
you could put in the hand raise feature, that'd be great. We'll also try and answer your questions via the chat feature. So the first question we have is, can you explain more about the gap year requirement?
Do you want me to take that?
Yep, that's fine.
So this is actually a new policy. We are asking, or we are having a new requirement that organizations can't get an award for 3 years in a row. So you'd be able to get it, you could apply for 2 years. Let's say we grant it to you for both of those years. We would then sort of ask that you take a year off, or just know that we won't give it to an organization 3 years in a row. You could then apply again after that year. But this is really partially because we have so many organizations in our service territory that we really want to make sure that we're not stuck in a loop of sort of giving funding to the same organizations over and over again, and making sure that we're able to have other organizations be able to apply as well. So that's sort of the purpose of the gap.
Yeah, because it is limited funding. $325,000 isn't a lot of money for both LA County and Ventura County. So we want to give an opportunity for everybody to apply and have access to the funding as well. And I know there's a question, if you've received funding the last year, if this would be your second year, you're still eligible for that funding this year should you be selected.
Yeah, so to the fuller question, if last year was your first year, then you could apply again. Yes, so we ask that the funds be used within the calendar or within 1 year from when you receive them. And I don't know if everyone can see this question. The question was, if we received an award this year, do funds need to be fully expended before we reapply for this round? And the answer is yes.
Any other questions? Feel free to unmute or raise your hand or just put it in the chat. I don't see any other questions.
I guess we did a really good job.
Great. We'll wait about a few more minutes, a minute or two, to see if there's anything that pops up. But again, my contact information is on the slide right here. It's ccruz@cleanpoweralliance.org. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions the best that I can. Again, I want to just highlight that our webpage has quite a bit of information. So most everything should be on there, but there's something specific that isn't being answered on the FAQ or you don't see, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'm happy to assist any way that I can. And again, please submit whatever you can by the date of September the 13th. So we have another question. It looks like, what kinds of research are you most interested in?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in the past, we've funded research that has been related to microgrids and to extreme heat. That is by no means the only type of research that we would fund, but I think anything that's related to energy, low-income communities, really anything that hits our 4 categories that is related to our service territory, that's related to those categories, would be the types of thing we'd fund. I'm trying to think if there's something like that would be a clear, no, we wouldn't fund this. And the only thing I can really think of if it was like funding for a for-profit organization to be able to do something, but then they wouldn't be able to apply anyway because they wouldn't be a C3. I don't know, Kristen, if that answers your question. But yeah, I think really anything related to the categories and then like impact to LA County, Ventura County, that's usually a good nexus. Would you be able to go back to yes, we can go back to that.
To the priority focus
and I think there was another question. Okay, if you look at which focus areas, yeah, great question. So we tend to get the most applications in, I guess, in the education realm. That tends to be what we get a lot of applications around. Research is actually something that we don't get as many applications on. Okay, so sorry, what kind of research are you most interested? Sorry, I'm just going back to the slide where we say the categories. But yeah, so to answer that question about what focus areas have been most historically competitive, it would be education has been the most competitive. Yes. And then, yes, this is the slide on the priority focus areas. So research, environmental and social justice communities, workforce development, education. Environmental and social justice communities and education would both be the most competitive in terms of we get the most applications from them. Workforce development and research have been a little less competitive.
But also, like, in terms of ensuring that you're hitting more than one focus area, lends to a strong application as well. So either through research and education or workforce development, or even all 4, just finding kind of those kind of approaches would be great. But I think there was a question here as well about the RFP. So someone asked, we have several programs that fall under our CPA's RFP. Can we submit more than one grant request?
Yes, we can. And also, just so folks know, it's not an RFP. If that changes anything for your application process. RFPs usually have more official things you have to do. This is not an RFP.
Also, in the past, we've had other organizations ask if, can more than one organization submit an application together on a project in terms of collaboration? Yes, however, there has to be a lead organization, and it must be identified very clearly who that lead organization would be.
Yeah, if more than one application is submitted, is only one approved? Yes. If more than one application is submitted, we wouldn't give 2 grants to the same organization in one calendar year.
And I know there's organizations here that might be outside of the territory, so I just want to say, ask or put this out there, that does the organization have to reside within a member agency, or can they be outside the territory but still serve CPA customers? So the answer to that is, so long as the organization proposal clearly highlights that it will serve CPA communities and customers, but the application must clearly identify the communities that will be served by the proposal itself within CPA territory.
I think someone just...
I think is there any, I'm seeing someone. Is there any other questions? Either via the, please go ahead and unmute yourselves or ask in the chat. Going once, going twice. All righty. I guess unless there's nothing else.
Oh wait, there's one more. Environmental. So the question is, environmental and social justice community focus area seems quite broad. Can you elaborate? Yes. So one of the big priorities for CPA and in all of our work is ensuring that disadvantaged communities and low-income customers are really feeling the benefits of clean energy, that they're engaged in our programs, that they are able to be equal recipients of all of the benefits of clean energy. So proposals that specifically speak to working with environmental and social justice communities, which is sometimes also referred to as disadvantaged communities. It could also refer to low-income customers, though there's not as exact of an overlap there. But projects and proposals that focus on those communities and on connecting those communities to clean energy, and there's a lot of different ways that could happen, is sort of what that focus area encompasses.
And we have a question. Are clean energy equipment infrastructure still eligible for expenses? Purchase of an electric transit van to support clean mobility programs, for example.
Yeah, technically that would. So yes, technically a purchase of a specific item, if that item can be clearly connected in the proposal to how it will benefit, how it ties to one of these categories and how it benefits people in CPA service territory, that would be eligible. Michael, are projects that support environmental and sustainable causes but do not focus on providing clean energy eligible for funding? It's a good question. I wouldn't say they're not eligible. I think it would be, I guess it depends what it is, but the more strongly connected it is to the energy and electricity portion of sustainability, or the more clearly the nexus can be linked to climate change, the better. We have funded projects that are not specifically related to energy, but that can be very clearly linked to climate change. So I think that would be yes, you could submit an application that speaks to that. Would the installation of EV chargers be eligible? It would be eligible, yes, that would be eligible. Again, with that, I think there would need to be a clear explanation of the impact that would have on people in the service territory. What about the purchase of EV vehicles? Yes, that could also be, there's no prohibitions against either of those things. So a strict purchase of equipment would also be eligible.
Yeah, and again, I encourage everybody to go to the website and look at the previous awardees, because in there the summaries kind of highlight if something is not specific just to renewable energy, but there's a correlation there somehow. There is a couple of organizations that we did fund in that way, so it would be useful to go to the website and just read that summary.
People can also just call your question out if you don't want to type it. Just throwing it out there. You don't have to, but just throwing it out there. And we can leave this this open for some more time, since I know we technically have till 2, even if you don't know your question quite yet. What are the most successful projects you've received? Do you mean successful in terms of like results? Like after we funded them, we were like really impressed with the outcomes? Correct. Okay. Oh gosh, I don't know. Now I need to think. I mean, this is our 4th year, so there's been a lot of projects. I need to think about that for a minute, unless you have.
I mean, honestly, I think one of our organizations helped really advance energy literacy to impacted communities, just kind of understanding how people speak different languages and trying to convey to them the impacts of renewable energy. I know one of our organizations went out there, really put an effort on the educational side of it. So that was a very successful in that they were able to go into these communities, provide information, educate them so that they're aware of what the impacts are, not just in terms of renewable energy, but the environmental impacts of climate change as well. So to me, that was pretty successful because they went into these communities that are very, very hard to reach.
Yeah, I mean, I think to that point, one thing that what Christian's speaking to is, I think we've been really excited, and I want to be careful saying this because this is not the only way. This is not the only thing we look for, but we sometimes get applications that really tap into a skill set or a population or a topic that we don't have as much ability to hit at CPA or as much experience working with. And so it's those projects are exciting, as well as projects that are really kind of like thinking outside of the box in terms of how to reach communities. Like one of the projects we funded last year that's on here, the Oxnard Performing Arts Center, was really educating children through arts programming about clean energy, which is something like we definitely don't do. And it's kind of a different way to reach communities. Again, it does not have to be an outside of the box idea. Sometimes what you've been doing forever and is just, the most effective thing to do, but it's always exciting to see those types of results.
That's right. And then there's a question where, does the organization have to show a track record in climate action oriented programming?
No, but I will say it is helpful for us to know that there is a high likelihood of success. And a lot of times that success is shown by an organization demonstrating that they have experience in this work. Now, if you don't have a track record in climate action oriented programming, but you have a really strong track record in, let's say, working with this specific community, you have really strong ties there, the right people, they come to your events, they listen to you, and that's the part where your track record is strong. I would really emphasize that. But I think it's helpful for us to have something in a proposal to show that you have experience in some element of this, and that there's a high likelihood of this project being successful.
Yeah, and that could also mean like implementation of other programs or projects that you've done over time, showing the success there in terms of the metrics that lend itself to why it's going to be successful. So if it's not specific to just climate action oriented programming, but you have had success in other aspects, I would also highlight that as well to kind of tell the committee that we want to implement something different outside of necessarily our scope, but something that's just different. But we have a likelihood of success, and this is why we're going to be successful implementing this project or program.
One other thing that is on the website that we didn't hit on really in this webinar, that I'll just note, is that we also do fund just general overhead. which I know is not something that a lot of grants do. We still love seeing exciting proposals that are for a specific project, but we also recognize that sometimes nonprofits just need funding to do the great work they're already doing. And so if that is, so I'll say that is something we also fund. Yes, agree, Ivory. Nonprofits definitely need general operating support. Yeah, I'm loving the positive feedback for this. Many of us here come from the nonprofit world, so we remember the struggles of getting grants that would provide overhead support. Sorry, go for it.
I was going to say, do we have to apply for a new project, or can it supplement an ongoing project? It could definitely supplement an ongoing project. I think we talked a little bit about it. If there's other funding possibly utilizing for a project itself, just kind of highlight how this funding would help you get past that finish line or implementing that project specifically. So we certainly would entertain that. And then we have another question. How about leveraging with state funding programs? Again, we would absolutely encourage you to submit an application. We would be open to that as well. I think what we're looking at is it's not a huge sum of money, but if we're able to, or at least within the application, you're able to identify like how that funding is going to kind of close the gap somewhere to fully implement a project or program that's going to have a huge benefit, we certainly would be open to that. So we're absolutely happy to see if there's any way to leverage this resources with other resources so the dollar goes much further as well.
Yeah. Can we include overhead if we aren't applying for general support? Yes. So if you're applying for a specific project, you would say in the budget, like this percentage is for overhead, and then this percentage is for materials for this project, whatever it is. But yes, you can include overhead without it being the main thing you're applying for.
Okay, we have about 15 minutes or so. So please feel free to shoot out any more questions. As far as what the committee is also going to be looking for is just the storytelling part of it. As long as you're able to connect the dots for us. I know it's only 1,000 words, but we really want to make sure that whatever story you are telling is substantive. It provides a clear vision and view for us, for the committee, so that it's easy for us to identify what you're applying for and how that's going to be implemented in the usage of those funds as well. This may be in the, this is another question. This may be in the guidelines. Is there a limit on indirect costs? No, there's no limit.
One thing I just want to note, because I see some new organizations on this call, which is really exciting. And I know we have the map that's up there, but I just want to make sure it's clear. Clean Power Alliance does not cover the city of Los Angeles. So if your work or your proposal is specific to the city of Los Angeles, that wouldn't be something we could fund. So the unincorporated county of Los Angeles, we do fund, as well as multiple cities, but we do not work in the city of Los Angeles. If your organization happens to be headquartered in the city of Los Angeles, but you do work elsewhere, that's fine. In fact, we are sitting in our office in the city of Los Angeles. But just want to make sure that's clear, because I think that's confusing sometimes with LA County.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to reiterate, if your organization is based in a city that is not serviced by CPA, but you're working specifically in CPA territory communities or within a population of CPA residents or customers, that'll be okay, so long as it's very clear that the funding would go for those programs or projects or education. Any other questions? Going once, going twice.
I mean, we could leave the line open.
Yeah, we'll leave the line open. We're gonna go ahead and just let whoever needs to drop off, but we'll keep the line open. If there's any additional questions, we'll be on till 2:00.
And thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Since it's just CPA staff, would you want me to stop the recording at this point?
Yes,
Yep,
please.
please.
No worries.